Picture this. Your alarm goes off at 5:00 a.m. You hit snooze. Once, twice. By the time you finally get up, the world has already started moving. Your phone lights up with notifications, your mind floods with noise, and before you even brush your teeth, your day has already been hijacked. Now pause for a second. What if you could flip that script? What if you were the one in control? Not your phone, not your boss, not your emotions. Every single day, there are two versions of you waking up. One is the dreamer, the person who wants more, who pictures success, strength, freedom. The other is the negotiator, the one who says, 5 more minutes. Tomorrow, I'll start when I'm ready. And here's the hard truth, only one of them survives the day. See, most people think being unstoppable means being fearless. It's not. It means you're scared, you're tired, you're uncertain, but you move anyway. You push through because your goals don't care how you feel. The world doesn't stop for your comfort. It rewards your consistency. And that's the difference between the average and the exceptional. The unstoppable don't wait for motivation. They build systems. They create habits that make quitting impossible. Their day isn't left to chance. It's built like an operation, precise, intentional, and powerful. You ever wonder how some people seem to win every single day? They don't have more time. They have structure. They have discipline. They have a code. So today, I'm going to let you in on something I call the routine of the unstoppable 7 habits that if you live by them will make you unrecognizable in 90 days. Not because you changed overnight, but because you made one choice every day to stop negotiating with your potential. This isn't about hype. It's not about feeling good. It's about building a life that no longer depends on how you feel. Because the truth is, you don't need more time. You need more control. You don't need motivation. You need a mission. So before we begin, ask yourself one question. Are you living each day as if it's practice or as if it's proof? Because after this, you'll never look at your mornings, your habits, or your excuses the same way again. You want to know what separates people who talk about change from those who become the change. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even opportunity. It's mindset, the inner psychology that drives every decision, every reaction, every comeback. See, most people live reactively. They wake up and immediately hand over control to their phone, to other people's opinions, to fear, to emotion. Their day is a sequence of reactions instead of a series of deliberate moves. But the unstoppable, they live on offense. They wake up with purpose before the world has a chance to dictate who they're going to be that day. Being unstoppable isn't about speed, aggression, or working 20 hours a day. It's about control. Control over your mind, your emotions, and your response to pressure. Life will always throw chaos your way. The goal is to train your brain to stay centered when everything else around you falls apart. That's what makes someone unstoppable, not their power, but their composure under fire. Every person faces fear, self-doubt, and exhaustion. The difference is what they do with those emotions. Some allow them to paralyze. Others use them as fuel. Fear, when channeled correctly, becomes focus. Pressure, when embraced, becomes performance. Every emotion that weakens the average person can become a weapon for the unstoppable one who understands their psychology. Most people think the mind follows the body. It doesn't. Your body follows your mind. Your muscles move when your brain tells them to. Your mouth speaks what your mind believes. Every action starts with a thought. And that's why mastering your mindset is the first and most critical step in becoming unstoppable. Think about it. Every great achiever, every athlete, every warrior, every leader you've ever admired, they all learn to command their thoughts. They didn't allow external noise to dictate their internal reality. They built mental armor through repetition, through failure, through discomfort, because confidence isn't born from comfort. It's forged in resistance. Let's break this down to something simple, but powerful. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. The average person lets emotions run the show. Anger, frustration, Anxiety. The unstoppable person observes those emotions, names them, and decides what to do next. That's tactical self-awareness. It's emotional intelligence under pressure. And it's one of the most lethal skills you can ever develop. When you feel fear, it's your mind saying, pay attention. It's not a signal to stop. It's an invitation to focus. When you feel doubt, it's your brain testing your belief system. Will you stand on what you said you wanted, or fold when it gets uncomfortable? Every mental barrier you face is a chance to practice resilience. Every time you push through, you're rewiring your mind to see obstacles as opportunities instead of threats. And here's where most people fall short. They wait until they feel ready to act. They think confidence will come first, and action will follow. That's backward. Confidence is a byproduct of taking action while you're uncertain. You build belief by doing, not by thinking. The mind learns through proof, not promises. So if you want to become unstoppable, start by proving to yourself that you can do hard things consistently. Even small wins reprogram your brain to expect success. Let me be real with you. Life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. The only reason something feels impossible now is because your current mindset isn't equipped to handle it yet. Once you evolve, what once crushed you will become routine. That's the beauty of mental growth. The mountain doesn't shrink. You just learn to climb faster. You can't fake the mindset of the unstoppable. It's built through thousands of micro decisions that nobody sees. It's waking up early when no one's watching. It's pushing through one more rep when your body screams no. It's keeping your word to yourself even when it would be easier to break it. Each of those moments is a brick, and those bricks form your foundation. People often ask, what does it take to have that kind of drive? The answer is simple. You have to redefine pain. Most people run from it. The unstoppable understand it's information. Pain tells you where to grow, what to fix, what to strengthen. It's feedback, not punishment. And when you stop fearing discomfort, you become dangerous. Because the person who can sit in discomfort without flinching can outlast anyone. Let's talk about focus for a second. The unstoppable don't waste energy on what they can't control. They channel every ounce of effort toward what's in front of them. If something doesn't serve their mission, it doesn't get their attention. That's not arrogance, that's discipline. That's how they protect their energy, like it's currency. You can't be unstoppable if you're constantly distracted. Your attention is your greatest weapon, and most people give it away for free to gossip, negativity, scrolling, comparison. But when you decide that your focus is sacred, your results skyrocket because where your attention goes, your energy flows. Here's another truth. The unstoppable are not immune to failure. They've just built a relationship with it. They fail forward. They understand that every setback carries a lesson, and that lesson becomes part of their next move. They don't personalize failure. They analyze it. They learn, adapt, adjust, and go again. That's psychological durability. And perhaps the most defining trait of the unstoppable mindset is this: they live by choice, not chance. Every part of their day is intentional. How they wake up, what they consume, who they talk to, what they tolerate. Every decision is filtered through one question: does this move me closer to my mission or further away? That's clarity. That's control. So if you want to develop this mindset, start small, but start today. Begin with awareness. Notice your patterns. When you want to quit, ask why. When you feel fear, name it. When you succeed, analyze it. The goal isn't perfection, it's progression. Because the psychology of the unstoppable isn't about never falling. It's about rising faster every time you do. And here's the last thing I want you to remember. Being unstoppable isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Every day, with every decision, you're either training your mind to surrender or training it to fight. You're either rehearsing weakness or rehearsing strength. The question is, which one are you practicing today? The moment your eyes open in the morning, a battle begins. It's not between you and the world, it's between you and yourself. between the version of you that wants to rise and the one that wants to rest, between the mind that seeks progress and the body that craves comfort. That first decision you make, to hit snooze or to stand up, sets the tone for every other decision that follows. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. The unstoppable understand that mornings are sacred. They don't wake up and react. They initiate. They know that whoever controls the first hour of the day controls the outcome of it. Most people start their mornings by surrendering their attention, scrolling through their phones, reading notifications, diving into other people's agendas before their own. By the time they've showered or had coffee, their focus is already fragmented, their energy scattered, their mindset reactive. But not the unstoppable. They guard that first hour like a warrior guards their weapon. They know the world will try to invade their peace soon enough. So they build a fortress around their morning, a ritual that strengthens their mind before the world tests it. This is not about a perfect routine. It's about intentional control. It's about beginning your day on your terms, not on the world's terms. It doesn't matter whether your morning starts at 4 a.m. or 8 a.m. What matters is that when it starts, it belongs to you. The first thing to master is silence. Before you let any external noise in, spend time in quiet. That's where clarity lives. The unstoppable don't wake up and drown in chaos. They wake up and command stillness. Whether it's through meditation, breathing, or just sitting in thought, they take those few minutes to align their mind with their mission. They understand that if they don't program their mindset, the world will do it for them, and the world's programming isn't built for excellence, it's built for distraction. Next comes movement. The body and mind are connected. When you move your body, you send a signal to your brain that it's time to wake up, time to perform. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It could be a run, a stretch, push-ups, or even a cold shower. What matters is that it demands effort. Because effort, first thing in the morning, is how you teach your brain discipline before the day tests it. There's power in doing something difficult before the sun rises. It builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. When you've already conquered discomfort by 6 a.m., the rest of the day becomes easier to handle. Every time you push through that initial resistance, you're teaching your mind that you are in command, not your feelings, not your fatigue. And then comes the mind feed. Most people wake up and feed their minds garbage, news, gossip, comparison. The unstoppable choose their input with precision. They read something that builds them. They listen to something that sharpens them. They use their mornings not just to wake up, but to upgrade. Because the thoughts you feed your mind early in the day shape the decisions you make later. Here's a truth most people ignore. Your morning is not just a time. It's a message to yourself. If you start the day disciplined, your subconscious registers that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself. That identity becomes the foundation for every other behavior. But if you start the day with procrastination, you reinforce the belief that your comfort comes first. You teach your brain that later is an acceptable strategy, and soon later becomes your life. The unstoppable don't chase motivation in the morning. They build systems that eliminate decision fatigue. Their clothes are ready. Their alarm is set far from their bed. Their workout is planned. Their tasks are listed. Because discipline isn't just about willpower, it's about preparation. They remove friction before it happens, so that their mornings are a series of moves, not moments of hesitation. When they wake up, they don't ask, "How do I feel?" They ask, "What needs to be done?" They don't negotiate with their goals before breakfast. They move, they execute, they build momentum that carries into every meeting, every challenge, every conversation. There's a moment when the sun isn't fully up, when the world is still quiet, that belongs entirely to you. It's where power is built. The unstoppable lie for that space. That's when they plan, visualize, and commit. They see the day before it happens. They set their intentions, not in vague affirmations, but in specific actions. They decide who they're going to be before the day gives them a reason to doubt it. That's what owning your morning means. It's not just about waking up early. It's about waking up with authority, about stepping into the day already aligned with your purpose, instead of searching for it later when chaos hits. You can feel the difference between a morning you control and one that controls you. On the days you own it, your energy feels clean, your focus is sharp, your mood is steady. On the days you don't, you feel scattered, rushed, reactive. The difference is not luck, it's structure. Owning the morning also means protecting it. You don't let other people's problems invade your peace before you've fortified it. No emails, no arguments, no unnecessary noise. The unstoppable know that their mindset is fragile early in the day, so they guard it like it's sacred ground. They know that whatever energy you start your day with multiplies. But here's the challenge. This isn't easy. It requires accountability. There will be mornings when you don't want to rise, when every part of you screams to stay under the blanket, to rest, to skip. Just this once. That's the moment where winners are made, because what you do after that voice appears defines your discipline. If you can conquer the inner negotiator before sunrise, you can conquer anything the day throws at you. And don't mistake this for a motivational speech about grinding yourself into the ground. This isn't about punishment. It's about preparation. It's about creating space to breathe, think, and lead yourself. Because if you don't lead yourself in the morning, you'll follow everyone else for the rest of the day. The morning is where you decide who's in charge, your emotions or your execution. The unstoppable choose execution every time. They wake up, not to survive the day, but to dominate it. To set a tone so strong that nothing can shake it. Every time you rise with purpose, you build momentum. Every time you keep your promise to get up, you build trust with yourself. And that trust compounds. One day you'll look back and realize that your entire transformation started with a single, quiet decision to take control of your mornings, because that's where everything begins. Not with a big speech, not with a life-changing moment, but with a daily, deliberate choice to rise before the world has a chance to pull you down. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and that inner voice starts whispering excuses, remember this. You don't owe the world your comfort. You owe yourself your potential. Get up. Move. Breathe. Take command. The day doesn't start when the sun rises. It starts when you do. Motivation is a liar. It whispers sweet promises when everything feels easy and disappears. The second things get uncomfortable. It shows up when the music's loud, when the crowd's watching, when you're inspired, and it vanishes when you're alone, when it's raining, when life hits you hard. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. One depends on how you feel. The other depends on who you are. And if you want to become unstoppable, you can't build your life around something as fragile as motivation. You build it around discipline, because discipline doesn't care about your feelings. It answers only to your goals. There's a dangerous myth that successful people are somehow always inspired. They're not. They just do the work, especially on the days they don't want to. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. The average waits for a spark. The exceptional strike the match themselves. The unstoppable don't rely on energy or enthusiasm. They rely on execution. They understand that feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. Every time you say, I'll do it when I feel ready, you're training your brain to delay action. You're teaching yourself that emotion has authority over decision. But discipline flips that. Discipline says, I do it first, and my feelings will catch up later. You don't wait to feel strong to act strong. You act strong and become strong. That's how it works. Here's the truth no one likes to hear. Consistency will beat intensity every single time. The person who shows up daily, even at 60%, will always surpass the one who gives 100% every once in a while. Discipline is about showing up no matter what, not about performing perfectly. It's about holding the line when your mood collapses, when your circumstances shift, when no one is watching. Most people let their emotions dictate their output. I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. It's not the right time. That mindset is what keeps them stuck. The unstoppable operate differently. They've trained themselves to act independently of emotion. It doesn't mean they don't feel tired or frustrated. It means they move anyway, because they've made a decision that their goals are non-negotiable. You have to understand this. Discipline is freedom. It might not feel like it in the moment, but every time you choose discipline, you're buying yourself freedom. Freedom from regret, from chaos, from the consequences of procrastination. When you live with discipline, your future becomes predictable. You know who you'll be because you trust yourself to do what you said you'd do. Motivation won't give you that kind of power. Think about a soldier in training. They don't get up at dawn because they're motivated. They get up because that's the standard. They've built a system so ingrained that it no longer requires thought. Discipline removes negotiation from the equation. It simplifies life. You don't have to debate with yourself about what to do. You already decided. The action is automatic. The unstoppable operate from that same principle. When you're disciplined, you eliminate the noise. You don't waste time convincing yourself to move. You move. That's the secret. You build your habits so strong that execution becomes instinct. Every time you push through resistance, you reinforce a belief, I am the kind of person who does what I say, I'll do. That belief compounds until it becomes your identity. And once it's your identity, it's effortless. You no longer fight with yourself, you simply follow your code. There's a method I call the 5-minute rule. When you don't feel like doing something, start for just 5 minutes. Don't commit to finishing, just begin. What happens next is psychological momentum. Once you start, your brain adjusts. The hardest part isn't the work itself, it's the resistance before it. You don't need to feel ready to take the first step, you just need to start moving. Discipline thrives on momentum. Now let's talk about emotion control. Discipline isn't just about doing things, it's about mastering your internal state. You can't let your emotions be the driver of your decisions. You can acknowledge them, but you don't obey them. When you're angry, frustrated, or demotivated, discipline gives you structure. It's your compass when your feelings try to drag you off course. The unstoppable know this. They use emotional turbulence as training. Every time they override an impulse, they strengthen the muscle of self-command. There's a quote, if you only work hard on the days you feel good, you won't get very far. That's the essence of discipline. The days you least want to show up are the days that count the most, because they're the ones that build character. Anyone can act inspired when conditions are perfect, but the unstoppable perform when they're exhausted, uninspired, and unseen. Because they understand that mastery isn't built in excitement. It's built in repetition. Think about the person who goes to the gym every day. They're not chasing a single workout. They're chasing identity. Each session says, this is who I am. And that's what discipline truly is. Not just an action, but an identity. When you start to identify as a disciplined person, you stop asking, should I? You simply act. The question disappears, and the commitment becomes who you are. But let's be honest, discipline doesn't come naturally. It's built in layers. It starts small. Waking up when you said you would, finishing the task you wanted to avoid, saying no when you want to say yes. Each time, you're building resilience. You're showing your brain that discomfort won't kill you. You're proving that temporary pain is worth long-term power. That's how discipline grows. Not in massive leaps, but in consistent defiance of your weaker impulses. The unstoppable also understand the importance of structure. They plan their day with intention. They remove distractions before they appear. They create an environment where success is easier than failure. That's discipline at a tactical level. Not just willpower, but strategy, because you can't rely on strength alone. You have to design your life in a way that supports your mission. And when failure happens, because it will, discipline keeps you grounded. You don't spiral, you recalibrate. You don't say, I blew it. You say, what's next? That's the mindset of someone who's in control. Discipline doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. You fall, you rise, you adjust, and you continue. Every time you return after failure, your discipline becomes unbreakable. The truth is, discipline isn't glamorous. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet. It's the voice that says, do it anyway. It's the small decision repeated thousands of times when nobody's watching. That's what builds greatness. Not motivation, not hype, not luck. Discipline, the unseen hours, the boring consistency, the refusal to quit when nothing is exciting. You will never always be motivated, but you can always be disciplined. Motivation is a spark. It gets you started. Discipline is the engine. It keeps you going. If you rely on one, you'll burn out. If you build the other, you'll never stop. So tomorrow, when you don't feel like it, when your body aches, when your mind says, not today, that's your test. That's the moment you prove whether you're driven by emotion or by purpose. Because anyone can act when they're inspired. But the unstoppable, they act because it's required. Motivation is the wind. Discipline is the anchor. One drifts, the other endures. You already know which one builds greatness. Focus is the new superpower. In a world that is louder, faster, and more distracted than ever, the ability to lock in on one thing, one mission, one goal, one task has become the rarest and most valuable skill you can possess. The truth is, most people aren't losing because they're lazy. They're losing because they're scattered. Their energy is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. They're chasing everything, committing to nothing, and wondering why their life feels like static. But the unstoppable, they operate differently. They know that energy is currency, and focus is how you spend it wisely. The average person wakes up and immediately lets the world divide their attention. Notifications, messages, news, noise. Every vibration, every alert, every opinion pulls at their mind like 1,000 tiny hooks. By the time they sit down to work, their attention span is fractured. They can't hear their own thoughts because the world has already filled their head with everyone else's. The unstoppable know better. They start their day by protecting their focus the way a warrior protects their weapon. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. They understand that their energy isn't infinite, and every distraction comes with a cost. You can't become great if you're constantly reacting. You can't lead if you're always available. You can't create impact when your attention is divided between things that don't matter. The unstoppable live by one rule. Not everything deserves your energy. They know that saying yes to everything means saying no to excellence. They choose their battles, their commitments, and their conversations with precision. They treat their attention like a bank account. Every withdrawal must serve the mission. Think about this. Every time you check your phone, aimlessly, every time you scroll, every time you gossip or argue about something meaningless, you're spending energy that you can never get back. You're wasting your sharpest weapon, your focus, on things that give you nothing in return. The unstoppable don't do that. They invest their energy like it's gold. They give it only to what compounds their growth, their health, their craft, their relationships, their goals. Everything else gets filtered out. You can tell how serious someone is about their future by how they protect their focus. The unstoppable don't chase dopamine hits. They chase results. They're not addicted to stimulation. They're addicted to progress. And that's a completely different operating system. They've trained themselves to find satisfaction in stillness, to feel powerful in silence, to find confidence in solitude. They don't need the noise to validate them. They use isolation as a forge. But make no mistake, ruthless focus isn't natural. It's built. It's trained like a muscle. You strengthen it by removing what weakens it. The more you eliminate distractions, the more you expand your capacity for deep work. The unstoppable don't rely on willpower alone. They create environments that make focus automatic. Their phones aren't next to them when they work. Their workspace is clean. Their schedule is intentional. They understand that the mind thrives in clarity, not clutter. When they're working, they're all in. No multitasking, no half effort, no pretending to be productive by being busy. They move with precision. One task, one focus, total immersion. They'd rather give 2 hours of undivided attention than 8 hours of diluted energy, because they know that deep focus produces deep results. Most people spend their days diffused, checking emails, jumping between tabs, half listening, half working. But the unstoppable, they cut through the noise like a blade through fog. Ruthless focus also means being brutally selective about people. Not everyone deserves your time. Energy is contagious, and if you surround yourself with people who complain, who doubt, who drain, you'll find your fire dimming without realizing it. The unstoppable curate their circle. They don't hate anyone, but they outgrow everyone who doesn't elevate them. They know that proximity is power. If you spend your time with 5 distracted people, you'll be the 6th. If you spend it with 5 disciplined ones, you'll rise. There's a reason focus feels uncomfortable. The human brain has been trained to crave stimulation. It wants constant novelty, constant input. That's why silence feels heavy, because it forces you to face your own thoughts. But that's where growth begins. The unstoppable lean into that discomfort. They sit in stillness long enough to hear the truth about their fears, their desires, their weaknesses. That level of awareness is dangerous, because once you understand yourself that deeply, the world can no longer manipulate you. Focus is an act of defiance in a distracted world. When you choose to tune out the noise and lock in, you're rebelling against mediocrity. You're saying, I refuse to live life half present. That kind of commitment builds momentum. Every day you practice focus, you're sharpening your mind. Every time you protect your energy, you're reinforcing control. But let's be clear. Being ruthlessly focused doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means knowing your priorities. It means choosing your mission over your mood. It's not about cutting everyone off. It's about setting boundaries that protect your peace. It's not about isolation. It's about intention. The unstoppable aren't hard to reach because they're arrogant. They're hard to reach because they're building something that requires every ounce of their energy. You can't create something extraordinary while living in distraction. You can't build legacy-level success with a notification every 5 minutes. Every time you switch your attention, you lose momentum, and momentum is everything. That's why the unstoppable guard it with everything they have. They structure their days around focus cycles, periods of deep, undisturbed work, followed by deliberate recovery. They understand that focus isn't about grinding endlessly. It's about giving full attention, then resting with equal intensity. That's tactical balance. That's sustainability. And when they rest, they really rest. No guilt, no distractions. Because true focus requires recovery. You can't burn constantly and expect clarity. The unstoppable know how to recharge, so they can return sharper. That's another form of discipline, resting with purpose, not out of laziness, but out of respect for the mission. Ruthless focus also requires emotional detachment from chaos. Not every crisis deserves your panic. Not every opinion deserves your response. The unstoppable stay calm because they know how to separate noise from signal. They don't take everything personally. They don't let small problems drain big energy. They move with composure, conserving their power for things that actually matter. And maybe that's the essence of focus, choosing what matters most and letting everything else burn away. It's clarity through elimination. The unstoppable live by subtraction. Every time they remove something, a distraction, a toxic habit, a negative influence, they create space for something better. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less with more intensity. You want to change your life, stop scattering your energy. Stop giving your attention away like it's worthless. Protect it like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Every minute of focus you reclaim, every distraction you cut off, every unnecessary yes you turn into a no brings you one step closer to mastery. The world will always try to pull your attention. That's how it keeps you ordinary. But the unstoppable don't play that game. They know that every moment spent distracted is a moment stolen from their destiny. So learn to guard your focus. Be ruthless with your energy. Not everything deserves your response, your time, or your attention. Spend your focus like gold, because once it's gone, it's gone. You don't need more hours in the day. You just need fewer leaks in your focus. The unstoppable know this truth. When you control your attention, you control your outcome. When you master your focus, you master your life. There's a moment every unstoppable person reaches when mindset, discipline, and focus begin to fuse together. It's no longer about individual habits. It becomes a way of living. A code. A personal operating system. From the outside, it looks like they're obsessed, maybe even extreme, but from the inside, it's simply structure. Structure that frees them to perform, to lead, to grow. The next 4 habits are not just practices, they are the daily anchors that hold everything together. They are the core of what it means to live with power and precision. Let's start with the body, because your body is the foundation of your performance. It's not about looking a certain way. It's about how you move through the world. You can't have a strong mind living in a weak body. The unstoppable understand that movement is non-negotiable. It's not about vanity. It's about vitality. The body is the vehicle that carries the mission. And if that vehicle breaks down, everything stops. They train because they respect the connection between physical strength and mental strength. When you push your body, you train your mind. Every rep, every mile, every breath you take under strain teaches you endurance, patience, and grit. The physical pain is just a tool, a way to build psychological resilience. When your muscles burn and your lungs ache, you learn to quiet the noise in your head. You learn how to command your body to keep going when every part of you wants to stop. That control, that power over your own limits, carries into everything else you do. Movement doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't matter whether you lift weights, run, box, swim, or climb. What matters is that you move with purpose. You show up consistently. You sweat deliberately. You treat your workout like a meeting with your future self, a promise you don't cancel. Because every drop of effort is an investment in longevity, focus, and emotional stability. The unstoppable don't chase comfort, they chase capability. But while they build strength, they also know one truth. Energy is contagious. The people you surround yourself with either multiply your power or drain it. That's why the unstoppable are ruthless about their circle. They understand that the wrong environment can suffocate ambition faster than failure ever could. They keep their circle small, intentional, and aligned. They don't need cheerleaders, they need challengers, people who raise the standard, not lower it. Look at your circle and you'll see your future. The people you spend the most time with shape your mindset, your behavior, your pace. If you're surrounded by complainers, you'll start complaining. If you're surrounded by doers, you'll start moving. The unstoppable choose to be around people who remind them who they are when they forget. They don't chase popularity, they chase progress. Sometimes that means walking alone. And they're okay with that, because solitude is better than dilution. Energy management isn't just about what you do, it's about who you let near you. Protecting your energy means setting boundaries. It means saying no without guilt. It means choosing peace over approval. The unstoppable don't explain their standards. They simply live by them. They know that every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. Then comes reflection, the quiet part of the code that most people skip. Every day is a mission, and every mission deserves a debrief. The unstoppable don't just move from one day to the next blindly. They stop, review, and recalibrate. They ask, what worked today? What didn't? Where did I waste energy? Where did I win? Reflection turns experience into intelligence. It transforms repetition into mastery. You can't grow if you don't measure. The unstoppable track their progress, not out of obsession, but out of awareness. They use the day's data to adjust tomorrow's tactics. If they lost focus, they fix their schedule. If they reacted emotionally, they study the trigger. They don't judge themselves, they audit themselves. Every day is an opportunity to upgrade. They treat reflection as fuel, not shame. And sometimes reflection reveals hard truths, that a goal is no longer aligned, that a habit is toxic, that a relationship has run its course. The unstoppable don't avoid those truths, they face them. Growth requires honesty, and honesty often hurts, but the pain of self-awareness is far lighter than the weight of regret. Finally, leadership, the highest form of discipline. The unstoppable know that true leadership begins with self-command. You can't